If you would have told me that I was still gonna be living with my parents like 10 years ago, I would have told you like, dang, bro, my life was a failure. I ended up being a bum. But you know what? I just don't really think that's true. And I feel like there's a lot of dudes, or just a lot of people in general that feel the same way as me, right? Because I'm 25 and I'm living with my parents, right? Trying to get everything together. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is, I moved out before. Like, it's not like I've just been here the whole time. I moved out before, and I moved back because I realized that moving out is low-key overrated. And I feel like I did it. I kind of rushed it, right? And I think that has to do with like not societal pressures, but it's like you watch the media and you hear from your parents, right? Like my mom told me that after she went to college, she basically never looked back. Like she went to college and she stayed out there and just kept getting apartments and condos, whatever. Right. And it's like you talk to these Gen Xers or boomers or these older generations, and it's like, yeah, like we had our shit together when we was 18, 19, 20 years old. And I'm just sitting here like, damn, like, nigga, how? But you just gotta kind of realize, I guess we're just in a different time, bro. We're just really in a different time. Like, and it's crazy because I'm over here 25. I'm low key. I'm moving back to my parents' house, and at first I was a little embarrassed, bro. Not gonna lie, it was a little embarrassing because it was like, especially since I had already moved out and I moved back, because I was like, damn, bro. Like, I feel like I just fell on my face, bro. I just felt like, you know, I should have all this shit figured out. You know what I'm saying? But as I have been living here for the last couple of months, I've come across a lot of people that are my age or even a little older that are also living with their parents. And it's starting to make me realize, bro, like maybe not that we're all in the same position, but maybe we're not all so different from each other. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Like everybody is struggling from this economy, man. The job market is absolutely terrible, bro. And I almost want to make a whole other video on the job market, bro, because here's the thing, man. Shout out to all our parents and shit like that, but they just don't be understanding sometimes, man. Because what do you mean go in person and apply? That shit don't work no more. They don't even want you to do that no more. I've seen so many countless Reddit threads, people just talking, basically saying don't do that because it's gonna worsen your chances. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, bro, if you have any kind of specialized degree and you want to work anywhere that's not fucking retail, how are you supposed to just walk into, like, if you're trying to be like a nurse or some shit, you can't walk into a hospital and be like, hey, are you guys fucking hiring right now? Like, you what do you mean? Like, that shit ain't gonna work, brother. They got other shit to worry about. You feel me? That's a whole other video topic. There's just a lot of differences between the older generation. I just feel like they don't understand sometimes. And I don't think it's their fault necessarily. I just think it's that, like, they was born in a different time. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of the older generation, they love to say, like, my parents say this all the time, bro. They be like, oh, people always say the world has changed, but, nothing's really changed. A lot of shit has changed. I don't know. A lot of shit has changed. But regardless, though, I'm done with that tangent. Back to what I was saying. Yeah, living with your parents is not a bad idea. And anyone who's considering it or feels bad about it, bro, don't feel bad about it, because you're going to save you a whole lot of money, brother. You're going to save you a whole lot of money. But there definitely is a balance, and there definitely are some trade-offs, okay? Like, yes, you are going to save you some money, okay? You have a comfortable place to live. Hopefully, you don't have to pay rent. Or if you are, obviously, your parents are probably not charging you thousands of dollars a month at least, right? You're probably only paying a couple hundred, a few hundred at most, maximum, if they love you. You know what I mean? Hopefully, because it is a privilege. But if you don't have that privilege, man, I'm going to pray for you. But you definitely do pay for it with your mental health, right? Luckily in my situation, I have a pretty decent relationship with my parents, but I do understand that a lot of the times, bro, your parents just be they just be on you, bro. They just be on you for no reason, bro. Just constantly breathing down your neck. You ain't got no type of privacy. You can't bring no females home. If you're a girl, you can't bring no males home. None of that, bro. You're not getting cracked. You're not cracking shit, bro. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You lack a lot of privacy, you know what I'm saying? You can't just walk outside with your balls hanging out. You know what I'm saying? You can't have a girl walking around naked. You can't have nobody, you know what I'm saying? You can't bring people over. You can't invite homies over. Like, I have some homies that are like, yo, could I pull up? I gotta remind them, like, yo, living with my parents now, brother. Can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You can't just have people over like that, or at least not in the same way that you used to when you lived by yourself. You definitely pay for it with, like on the mental health thing. Like I told you, I think that generational gap matters, right? Because this is what you got to understand. Gen Z is a generally small generation, right? And so a lot of our parents are like older. We were like, most of our parents are not millennials and shit, right? They're like Gen Xers and boomers, right? And so because of that generational gap, there's a lot of like differences, bro. You gotta understand these older generations, they don't really even understand what mental health is. They don't understand where we're coming from. They don't understand that the world we're living in is completely fucking different, right? So they gonna be on your ass about, hey, when you gonna get a better job? When you gonna do this and you do this? And they just always gonna be on you, and you'll never really have a chance to like explain, because even when you do explain, they're always gonna come back with, oh, well, when I was your age, I was your age. But what a lot of these motherfuckers fail to understand is that when you was my age, you was living in a world to where you can go and get you a retail job and you can survive and buy you a house. I was watching a video the other day based off of wages, brother. You could have got a retail job, a decent little retail job, and you could have put a down payment on a house, or at very least, you could have rented out an apartment, very minimum, you know, with a retail job. And it's so crazy because they say nowadays, oh, retail jobs are for teenagers and summer jobs. That shit was not always the case. That was not the case. You feel me? But regardless, it's like they fail to understand. And that generational gap is important, right? Because there's just so many differences. Like, for example, my mom's the other day, shout out my moms, I love my moms. She was telling me, we was actually on vacation, right? And there's people that come and clean your little hotel room and stuff like that. I had some clothes on the floor, and she's like, why are all these clothes on the floor? I was like, they're the dirty clothes. She's talking about, oh, well, don't you care about what the cleaning people think about you? You don't want them to think you're a slob, whoop-de-whoop. And it's like, bro, I don't really care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what the cleaning people think about me, because let's say they thought I was the most clean person in the world. What does that matter to me? That opinion does not fucking matter to me. It don't matter, right? Same thing with, like, you know, when they, like, I'll go outside and I'll have on like some sweats and some slides. They'll be like, why don't you look presentable? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm going to the grocery store. It's like, oh, you always got to look presentable. And you know, how you present yourself to the world matters. And maybe it does to an extent, but it's just like, I don't give a fuck, because what does someone's opinion matter to me? See, it mattered way more back then because they lived in communities. Like, there wasn't social media and shit like that, right? Your community mattered the most. Your community was where you found your long-term relationships. It's where you found your jobs. It's where you found a lot of opportunities. So it mattered how you presented yourself a lot more back then, because it could have decided your fate, basically, for your whole fucking life. But nowadays, bro, there is no damn community. You walk outside, you'll be lucky to find somebody your age. Lucky to find somebody your age these days, bro. You know what I'm saying? We don't have no community. Your community is online, on social media. And that shit is just not the fucking same, bro. So yes, I'm gonna go walk outside in sweats and slides because, nigga, I'm trying to be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about, like, oh, well, what if this person thinks that I'm a bum? Oh, well, they think I'm a bum. I'm never gonna see him again. I'm never gonna see him. And even if I do, what does that opinion matter to me? Why would that opinion matter to me? Oh, yeah, this kid wore fucking sweats to the grocery store. Whoop-de-doo. Oh, well. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like the little things. It's the little things like that you pay for when you live with your parents in your 20s, bro. But here's the thing, too. This is what you got to keep in mind. There's definitely a balance. As someone who's been on both sides, right? I both lived with my parents and I moved out in my 20s. Moving out is low-key not all it's chalked up to be at the same time, right? I feel like if you do, it is a good idea to move out, but you got to do it the right place, the right time, because not only is there a whole lot of responsibilities, but it's just the feeling that you get. I felt extremely lonely, bro. I was like, it's very lonely living by yourself, bro, and you kind of don't realize it until you're in it, but it's extremely fucking lonely, and you definitely feel a sense of like, damn, I'm not really where I'm. Where am I, bro? Like, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? And that can be a good feeling if you're living in the right place. But the place that you live, your environment is so important. And my environment, it was nice. It was a nice environment. I wasn't like living in the hood or anything. I was living in a very, very like expensive area. But it just didn't, something about it just didn't vibe with me, right? And I just felt off. And understand that matters. That matters, bro. Right? When you're living somewhere where you just feel off, right? Like, for example, my apartment, it had a lot of like, the walls were like super white. It was very sterile in there. It was just off. Something wasn't right, bro. And that caused me to just like not feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And that matters, because when you don't feel comfortable, you can't be as productive. You don't want to get shit done, right? You're not in your best headspace. Where you live at actually fucking matters. Live somewhere where you want to be comfortable at. And when you live with your parents, you're going to feel very comfortable because that's where you grew up. This is what you're used to. Okay. But at the same time, you don't want to dive into that comfort too much. You want to take advantage of it so that you could really lock in, right? Like living with your parents, as much as you lack privacy and you might pay with it for your mental health, like your parents might be on your ass about jobs and money and all this other type of shit. But at the same time, you can get real comfortable and you can do a lot of shit. Like I would encourage anyone that's living at their home, right? Go ahead and get you that job so that your parents can be off your dick. And then work on your business on the side. Work on what you really want to work on the side. Because being at home, you don't feel comfortable enough to be able to do so. You don't feel comfortable enough to be like, you know what, I can do anything. I can do this. You know what I'm saying? You'll be in the right environment and you'll be in the right headspace. Hopefully, if you don't have parents that's, you know, just straight evil or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I would encourage you to start working on shit while you at home, right? And then, you know, eventually you move back out, whatever. But yeah, you don't want to get too overly comfortable though, because you don't want to be a bum. Because see, living with your parents in your 20s that's cool. Living with your parents in your 30s, it's listen, for the times we live in, I'm not gonna be mad at it. I completely understand it, but at the same time, is that shit ideal? No. So it's like living with your parents in your 30s, like, you don't want to get overly comfortable, right? As soon as you're able to move out and as soon as it's like something that you can do comfortably, I would say go ahead and do it, brother. Because moving out also has the benefit, and I alluded to this earlier, of putting you in a new environment to where you can like do new things, right? If you live in a new environment, right? And this is part of the reason why me personally, right? So I want to move to New York one day, right? When I got the money and the means to do so, I'm moving out there and I'm definitely gonna grow when I'm out there. I've been out there a few times. I've stayed out there for a while. And it's a place where I feel like when I'm there, like I feel like that's like my next stage. It's like a video game, right? It's like a video game. There are certain places that you have to go to progress the story. And I feel like I have to end up there in order to progress my story and grow as a person. While I'm at my parents' house, I'm not necessarily like progressing at all, but I'm like upgrading my stats before I move on to the next part of the story. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how you might be done with a level, but you still gonna look around for some extra little items and trying to level up before you go to the next part. That's kind of what living at your parents' house is doing. You just kind of leveling up before you get to that next part of progression. You know what I'm saying? And you need that because when you're in a new environment that's comfortable for you, or when you're in a new environment that you actually enjoy being in, that can cause the most growth. That can cause like insane levels of growth. That's why college is important, right? I'm not saying that you gotta, you know, I'm not saying you should go to college or not go to college. It's up to you, brother. But being in college and being away from your parents for the first time and you in dorm rooms and you meeting all a bunch of new people, there's a lot of growth that comes with that. And you can kind of tell the people that had that experience versus the people that didn't have that experience. People that had that experience, they're a little more, you know, they're a little more socially like I don't even know what the word is, socially able or some shit like that, right? They're a little more, you know, I guess a little more out there, right? They know how to operate with a team. They know how to operate with other people, right? They got a little bit more growth. You know what I'm saying? I'll just be honest. They're a little more mature just because they got the ability to be by themselves for the first time. You know what I'm saying? But long story short, living with your parents is definitely going to have some pros and cons in your 20s. But the bottom line about this video is that you should never, ever, 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 ever be like embarrassed or feel ashamed to live with your parents in your 20s, because it's definitely something that a lot of people are doing it, bro. Gen Z, we staying at home, brother. We staying at home. And it's all good, bro. It's all good. Like, stack your bread, right? But don't get overly comfortable. Eventually, you got to progress to the next part of the story. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I'm out.